Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, the Indiana football team looks to win its first homecoming game since 2010. Our Joe Canner has the preview.
And Indiana swimming and diving kicked off their season with a splash. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Welcome into Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Michael Tilka.
And I'm Maxwell Sterling Glenn.
It's homecoming week here in Bloomington, and the Iowa Hawkeyes will make their first visit to Memorial Stadium since 2015 to match up against Tom Allen and the Hoosiers. Our Joe Canner has the preview for the game.
The Big Ten schedule hasn't been easy for the Indiana Hoosiers. They've dropped their last two contests and sit at just 1-2 in conference play. But they'll look to flip the script with a little home cooking on homecoming Saturday against Iowa. The Hoosiers haven't won their homecoming game since 2010, and they haven't beat Iowa since 2012. But Tom Allen knows what the Hoosiers must do to have success.
With the Iowa Hawkeyes coming to Bloomington this weekend, a very well-coached football team, very big and physical, everything you expect from an Iowa football team, great defense, especially in the box. Defensive line's long, big, strong, and they really are very stingy. Don't give up a lot of big plays. Very, very disciplined. Offensively, they've really expanded their passing game. Stanley's a great quarterback, big, physical, 6'4", 6'5", 245-pound guy. Physical backs, big offensive line, best tight end core we've gone against. Very, very talented tight ends and receivers that are making more and more plays each week.
The keys to the game are likely to be IU's secondary and the turnover battle. IU's defense thrives on turnovers. They forced 13 turnovers, one in at least every game, and they've had 3 multi-turnover games. Nate Stanley is an efficient quarterback for the Hawkeyes, but his weapons haven't picked up the slack. Tom Allen was candid. In his team's 2 losses this season, his secondary has been outclassed.
I just call it what it is. They won some one-on-ones. You know, we had some of our best players matched up against their best players, and they won those. So. I'm not going to sit here and, our goal coming in is we're going to fight these guys. We're going to look them in the eye. We're going to fight for 60 minutes. We're not going to back down. So we just ran our stuff. And we won some of those at times, but we lost some of those at times too. And that's just part of it. And so our best players matched up against their best players. And we got to come up with those, and we didn't.
Indiana's homecoming festivities will conclude at high noon on Saturday when the Hoosiers and the Hawkeyes kick off from Memorial Stadium. Both teams will look to notch their second conference win. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Joe Canner.
Once again, kickoff for the game is set for noon on Saturday, with the game being broadcast on ESPN2.
In other Indiana football news, Morgan Ellison, who was IU's leading rusher last year, has been suspended from all IU campuses for 2.5 years after a university sexual misconduct panel concluded that he sexually assaulted a fellow student. Ellison was suspended on August 24th, but he recently returned to practice with the team. The university's panel found that Ellison had committed an assault on a fellow IU student while she slept and continued the assault when she woke up. Ellison and IU athletics have declined to make a comment as of Thursday evening.
The Indiana swim and dive season has officially begun as the Hoosiers hosted a meet this past weekend. Our Drew Fry has the story.
The IU men's and women's swim and dive team faced off against 3 different opponents as they started off their season at home, and they racked up a number of wins.
The men start the season off ranked number 3, while the women come in at number 6. They wasted no time improving their rankings, as the men took down all 3 of their opponents, and the women finished the day with 2 wins and a tie.
The expectations this year are huge. I think everyone that's on the team knows our potential. Last year we showed everyone what we could do, and this year, man, we're hoping that we can take the chance and bring the title back home.
There were plenty of standouts, as the Hoosiers earned multiple individual wins from swimmers Bruno Blaskovich, Ian Finnerty, Vinny Lanza, and Lily King, as well as diver James Connor.
For me, my biggest takeaway is that I was given a real run for my money on every event and every round. We've got some incredible depth in our list right now, and it was just great to be a part of it. And whoever wins at the end of the day, that's just a matter of what happens in the pool. But for the performances that I saw out of everyone in our team, like I said, it's really encouraging moving forward.
The Hoosiers are now off to a hot start with a combined 5 home wins, matching last year's total. IU has several more home meets to go, a luxury they didn't have last season.
The atmosphere it's great. We have such a good dynamic when we swim in our pool, and it's even more exciting because we know at the end of the season Big Tens are here, so we kind of want to prepare ourselves and have every dual meet kind of be like Big Tens and have the environment just super loud, super crazy, but most importantly having fun and swimming fast.
Indiana will next go on the road to face Texas and Florida. They won't be home again until the middle of November.
And for IUS TV Sports, I'm Drew Fry.
Both teams will be competing next in Austin, Texas, starting Friday, October 19th against the Florida Gators and Texas Longhorns.
The Indiana field hockey team had an exciting weekend when they hosted a strong Michigan State squad. Our Caleb Kaufman tells us more.
Following a lengthy weather delay on Friday afternoon, the Indiana field hockey team played Michigan State and looked good in their return home after a 4-game road trip. The Hoosiers started the game strong, being the aggressor and getting 2 shots on goal within the first 3 minutes of the game. However, after Indiana's quick start, Michigan State took control for the remainder of the half, outshooting the Hoosiers 7-3 and earning 2 penalty corners, but were still unable to convert on any of their chances. The second half started in a similar fashion, as the Hoosiers earned 3 early corners but were still unable to score. However, late in the game with 5 minutes remaining, Taylor Swope got free and scored the game-winning goal for the Hoosiers. After the game, Coach Misselhorn was pleased with the team's performance and optimistic about the end of the season.
We're just excited about getting the Big Ten win. Our senior class has been fighting really hard, and this is a great product of all the hard work that they've been doing, so we're excited to see Swope earn a goal, and just the fight from minute 1 to 70 was fantastic today. We needed that momentum. It's good to see us get up on the boards. A huge shutout. I think our goalkeepers and defenses have been playing fantastic, so to get a Big Ten shutout is great for our program.
It is never easy to have a weather delay out for a team, but the Hoosiers did not seem fazed by this and went on to beat Michigan State this afternoon, earning their first Big Ten win of the season. Maybe this is exactly what the Hoosiers needed to give them a jolt of energy as they head into the home stretch where they hope to finish strong. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Caleb Kaufman.
The Hoosiers have their final 2 games this weekend against second-ranked Maryland on Friday and against the 14th-ranked Rutgers Scarlet Knights on Sunday.
This weekend, the men's golf team traveled to Texas for the Merideau Intercollegiate Golf Tournament. The Hoosiers totaled their best round of the weekend on the final day with a team score of 297. Senior Jake Brown turned in the only round under par, shooting a 69 on the final day, putting him in a tie for 14th on the weekend. Brock Oxenrider finished tied for 24th, extending his string of top 25 finishes to 7 of the last 8 events. The Hoosiers finished 9th out of the 14 teams participating with a team score of 903. The Hoosiers are back home in Indiana this weekend in Westfield for the Chatham Hills Intercollegiate on the 14th.
When Hoosier Sports Night continues, we preview the IU men's soccer matchup against the Maryland Terrapins.
And the softball team competes in a triple-header against other southern Indiana schools. You're watching Hoosier Sports Night.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night. The men's soccer team is looking to stay undefeated in conference play when they host Maryland. Our Juan Diego Alvarado has the preview.
As October continues, cold weather starts coming our way. But you know who's not getting cold? That's right, IU men's soccer, as it gets ready for its Big Ten clash versus Maryland Friday. Following its 1-0 on the road victory versus Michigan, Indiana men's soccer returns to Bloomington to take on its 5th conference matchup of the season. This time, the Hoosiers will face Maryland's Terrapins with a match-fit squad and ready to add another win to a perfect conference record.
You know, if we're able to get significant points again on Friday, then we're sitting in a really good spot with 3 games left.
This week also, IU men's soccer ranks 1st in the NCAA RPI rankings and is at least in the top 5 in 6 national polls. However, IU head coach Taliaferro says this is no reason for the Hoosiers to let their guard down versus the Terrapins.
This team's dealt with that. We always feel that we always have a target in our back regardless of ranking. So I don't think it's a problem for them to stay present and play with the fight and the humility that we have to play with.
The matchup will begin at 7:30 this homecoming Friday, and Indiana is motivated and ready for a full house. Reporting for IUS TV Sports, I am Juan Diego Alvarado.
Be sure to follow at IUS TV Sports on Twitter for updates on the men's soccer team.
Over the weekend, Indiana softball traveled to Evansville for 3 fall exhibition games. On Friday, the Hoosiers dominated the Southern Indiana Screamin' Eagles as Emily Gooden threw out a complete game shutout, giving up only 2 hits. On offense, Taylor Lambert led the Hoosiers with 2 hits and 2 runs. The Hoosiers earned their first victory of the weekend with a final score of 4-0. On Saturday, Indiana took on the Evansville Purple Aces in a doubleheader. The Hoosiers fell 4-3 in their first game as Taylor Lambert's 2 hits and 2 RBIs, along with Annika Baez's solo home run, were not enough to take down the Aces. But in Game 2, the Hoosiers were looking for vengeance. They came out strong and with a team effort beat the Aces 10-1. Junior Bella Norton recorded 3 hits and 1 RBI in the win. The Hoosiers will close out fall play with a final homestand this Friday as they take on John A. Logan College in another doubleheader. The first pitch of the game is scheduled for 5 p.m.
The worst fears for IU volleyball are confirmed. Star outside hitter Kendall Bierman will miss the remainder of the 2018 season with a torn ACL. In her absence, IU was on a 4-game losing streak. On Friday, the Hoosiers fell in a 5-set match to Michigan State in East Lansing. And on Saturday, IU lost a lead late in a 5-set loss to number 16 Michigan in Ann Arbor. IU then traveled to Lincoln on Wednesday to face the number 5 Nebraska Cornhuskers. IU was swept 3-0, but did have its longest set of the season as it fell to Nebraska 30-28 in the second set. The Hoosiers are now 11-7 on the season, looking to turn it around at home against the Rutgers on Saturday.
On October 8th, Indiana lost one of its finest members when former Indiana football All-American George Taliaferro passed away. Taliaferro was a trailblazer for the Indiana athletics program at a time where IU and the city of Bloomington were still segregated. Often noted as the Jackie Robinson of football, Taliaferro's skills not only led IU to its only undefeated season in 1945, but more importantly allowed Taliaferro to become the first African American ever to be drafted in the NFL in 1949 by the Chicago Bears. The Gary, Indiana native eventually returned to Bloomington to serve a variety of roles in IU's administration over the years. This weekend against Iowa, Indiana will observe a moment of silence in his honor, as well as having all flags at half-staff. Finally, all IU players will wear Taliaferro's number 44 on the side of their helmet instead of the usual IU logo for the contest. George Taliaferro was 91 years old. For Hoosier Sports Night and for Maxwell Sterling Glenn, I'm Michael Tilka.